Thank you. I feel like the UN up here. Well, I spoke for about 15 minutes about my journey to veganism, but it really came from my family upbringing that we considered ourselves to be good people, to be right-thinking people, honest people. And when I read that in the book about Peter Singer, and I thought, how can I go out there and tell people that I care deeply about animals and eat them and expect to be taken seriously? And that was why I stopped.
Thank you. Thank you. Earthlings did it to me, but it was all about being equal with every other being. I don't feel more superior than taking another being's life. So I went vegetarian. I think about a month and a half later, I was seeing a shaman at the time, and she said, "Your guides are telling me to go vegan for about 8 weeks," and I went vegan since. It's been a few years since. So
mine came mainly from a long-term anti-bullying thing. I've always been anti-bullying, and the whole ethical investment thing is about corporate bullying. And it struck me that the act of eating an animal because you have the ability to is just another way of bullying. You do it because you can get away with it because they're not going to do anything about it. So it's not a very glamorous answer, but it's just anything that's involved in bullying, and I'm anti it.
Leigh, while you've got the microphone, we've had an audience question about cruelty-free super and where you draw the line with the companies. Like, do you use companies that are good at this, or they're trying to be good at this, or some that are better at other things than others? What's the sort of process, or where's your guideline?
There are some areas that are non-negotiable. So if you're involved in live exports, animal testing, intensive farming, dairy, well, anything that uses animals really, it's non-negotiable. When it comes to human rights and the environment, I'm not saying it's grey areas as such, but it's much harder to be so black and white. So for example, there are some ethical funds that say if a company is trading in an oppressive regime, then they won't invest in it. We would turn that around and say the starting point is a company has to demonstrate that it's trading in an oppressive regime without benefiting from that. So there was a company in the UK called Severn Trent. It's a water company, big contracts in China, and the general consensus within the ethical investment community is a company that's providing clean drinking water in a country the same as a company that's manufacturing cheap t-shirts using child labour. So you can have an absolute blanket ban, but sometimes there are some things that are doing good. But like I said at the beginning, when it comes to animals, it's difficult to see where you can find a positive.
Next question is for Panna. Do you have any tips on how to grow a business while maintaining an ethical and sustainable focus?
Enjoy what you do. Don't make it feel like work. It really fine. And for my personal journey, it was discovering myself and who I am, and then you're just on that clear path, and everything's pretty clear with work and business. And stick to your parameters. I think don't sort of chase the dollar in that aspect. Really, if you know what your ethos is or how you set out to operate, that you continue on that journey.
Billy, would you like to add anything to that about growing a business and maintaining ethical and sustainable process?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned before, a business is an extension of yourself. So if you've got the right values, then you really have a platform to provide service to others and keep to those ethics. So I think in business you face a lot of choices. So you're able to always exercise that option to take the higher road. You're not perfect, but you definitely are able to start making some change out there. So in the industry that I'm in, it's really great that I guess the community and the market's coming around to what we're doing. So it helps having that momentum behind you as well. So it's definitely on trend.
Pam, I know a lot of people, vegan in particular people who really want to have animal sanctuaries. So many people that would love nothing more than to create their own animal sanctuaries, look after all these animals. And I feel that a lot of people go into these things without maybe thinking about the reality of the situation and the hard work that goes into it. If anyone here is thinking of something like that, could you give them some tips about?
Don't. I actually, say that with a lot of sincerity. Since I started Edgar's Mission, sometimes I think I have created a little bit of a monster. It is a lot of things that I draw on. I will talk about my equestrian career, and it's not that I'm going to get into the ethics of riding horses and that, but that is, and I said earlier too about one of the things that drives me. It's always been to be better, not being anything else, to be my best. And I see, and people see that. Anyone that's good at their craft, it should look easy. It should look really easy. It happened to me years ago, windsurfing. I'm going off a bit of a tangent, but I went windsurfing. So actually I did take a day off. I think it was back in 1972. And I went windsurfing. It looked really easy. It looked so goddamn easy. And I went out there, and I think by the time I got to Tasmania, I realised I had to put my hand up and the guys had to pull me in. I couldn't even get up on the goddamn board. But the other people made it look so easy. And I think, Edgar's Mission, people think it's really wonderful, it's really easy, let's go and start an animal sanctuary. In the last 12 months, I think I know about 4 or 5 sanctuaries in Victoria that have gone under, and some of them have gone under horribly. We've taken on some of those animals and they have been in absolutely appalling condition. There was a lady who tried to commit suicide, another one, a couple broke up, and the poor lady was just so devastated. She loved her partner, and the animals, some of them came to us, again, they were in appalling conditions. It's something really, really think long and hard about. Just don't think if you take some animals, you put a shingle up, that you are a sanctuary, that people are going to give you money. You have to earn their respect, you have to earn that. And I just think, for me, this is with a lot of the journey with Edgar's Mission, so thank you for the question. For me now, it's not enough to save one animal, because in 100 years people will still be saving an animal, and you're plugging the dike. We have to change the way the public view animals, and that is the enormous power. So as I said earlier, the animals that we save are ambassadors for the ones that we cannot save. Edgar's Mission now has a global reach. The other day I got an email from someone in Arlington in America who was actually gone vegan because of our quote. She loved the quote, she bought a t-shirt with our quote on it. She went to put it on and she read it: if we could live happy, healthy lives without harming others. She was a meat eater. She said she couldn't put the shirt on. 2 years later, she actually made the connection. She stopped eating animals and she said, now I can proudly wear your t-shirt. And that is because the message of what we do goes beyond that. So yes, if you want to have rescued farm animals, please let me know. We've got plenty we can adopt you. But if you want to take that bigger step and go into a sanctuary, there's a huge thing there. And even when you talked about the business thing there, my Dad got his goddamn wish. He wanted above anything else for me to be a businesswoman. I just wanted to ride horses. Now I am a businesswoman, and I sell kindness every day of the week. And I have to go into areas that I never thought possible. I remember when we had our first employee, I was sitting there watching TV one night and an ad came on about work care. I thought, oh gosh, thank God I don't have to have work care. I'm in the not-for-profit sector. I had to pay, it was 18 months back pay of work care because we have to still pay work care, work cover. So there's all sorts of things that you have to get into. It is a business, you have to do it well. Insurance, public liability, all sorts of things. Enormous once you start having a sanctuary on our level. I think do what you do well. There's lots of other ways you can save animals. If you want to save animals, the easiest way to save animals is to stop eating them. The hardest way to save animals is to run a not-for-profit animal sanctuary. I hope that answers quick. But I don't want to deter you. I don't want to deter you, and I don't want to ever sound arrogant like I'm the only one who can do it, because I certainly am not the only one who can do it. Lots of people can do it. Someone will come along that can do it better than me. But really think, it's not all glory. There's a lot of guts in there as well.
Definitely. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask anyone on the panel? Yes.
Actually, just one to Pam. Thank you. Let's not record. Thank you, first of all, to all of you for your time tonight. It's been incredibly inspirational. I'm so grateful. Actually, just on that, Pam, I was wondering, I know you're doing a fabulous job of educating some of the primary school kids, and that system you've got in place. Are you gaining any traction in schools? How is that going?
Thank you for the question. If we've got any teachers here tonight, please see me afterwards because I want to talk to your students. It's been one of, again, the hardest things to do. People think, oh, I'm just going to go out and talk to schools. One of the things I often talk about is, and why I think the animals are such wonderful ambassadors, I can tell you all what to do now, but I've got no authority to do that. And I've got no guarantee that if I tell you to do it, you will actually do it. Animals speak to your heart, and I think when people connect with their heart, that's when change will happen. It's been really hard getting into schools. When I first started, a lot of the schools didn't want me there. They thought, oh my gosh, the animal liberation terrorists, heaven help us, the kids might have an individual thought, my God, we can't have that happening. So it's been really hard. Again, it's something that I've had to earn. It's been through actually teachers coming to the sanctuary and then inviting me to schools. When I first started, I wrote to all the schools, wasted all this money on postage, and none of them contacted me back. So it's actually finding out which works better. It's just been personal contacts with teachers and then earning that respect. A teacher will hear us speak. And I must say, the humane education programs that we have now, I'm really proud of it. And one of the first things I actually tell the kids, and the teachers love it, is that when I speak to the kids, that I've had a word to your teachers before I speak to you today, and they tell me, you're really smart, so I'm not going to be able to put anything over you. I don't want you to believe a word I say to you today. And the kids go, I want you to think. I want you to ask yourself, does what Pam says to you make sense? I want you to think. And if you like it, run with it, and if you don't, don't. And it is getting kids start to critical thinking. A lot of my talks actually don't necessarily deal with animal things. It's critical thinking, empowering kids to stand up and make a difference. And as Leigh mentioned earlier about bullying, it's rife through our schools. And we want kids to have courage to actually stand up and say what's right. And be honourable, a bit more honourable than me, my little thing with the rabbit and Easter bunny. So thank you for the question.
Any other questions?
Hi, I have two questions. So first one, Pam, I'm a youth worker, and what's it like for volunteers to get some kids down there and helping out at your sanctuary?
Public liability is a huge thing that we have to jump over. I remember when I first started in all ignorance, I said anyone can come to the sanctuary and do all these sorts of things. Now we have an occupational health and safety officer who would cringe at the things that we used to do, so we have to be really mindful of that. So we have an age limit on the children that can come to the farm, and then we have to have supervisors with them as well to make sure it's safe, and I have to protect my animals as well as the people that come. A huge amount of money has been invested in the new sanctuary, which is beautiful now that we have this sanctuary. It's been a purpose-built sanctuary with safety in mind to make it safe for the public as well. Volunteering is a huge part of our sanctuary, and we rely on volunteers enough because we don't have to pay them. But we love it. We love volunteers, especially when you turn up. That's even better. So have a speak to me after. Youth programs are great to get going. That's one thing we really want to do at the new farm.
Cool. And also my second question is for Hannah. I'm allergic to cashews. It's the worst thing as a vegan. Is there another nut that can be soaked to make a vegan cheesecake? Please tell me there is.
That's a good one, that one. Yes, there is. We do have a couple of nut-free options. I think it's a lamington, and I think we have been playing around with almonds and that. Is it just walnuts or just cashews, I think?
Nah, walnuts as well.
Almonds
are cool, peanuts.
Yeah. The lamington and the chocolate.
Thanks.
Well, you've got the mic, Hannah.
Yes.
Can you talk about why you think it's necessary to create a brand marketed to the mainstream?
To sustain the growth as a company. I think the organic space, the health food space, the vegan space is definitely growing, and it's growing year on year. But as a company, you need to grow faster to sustain the employees and to survive as a brand. So for me, it's very important to reach out to a wider audience. And even you can see, you don't see anything on the front there that says vegan. It's not until you discover it later, and that's really important. That first they get connected to the chocolate. So it's designed graphically and all the rest of it, and then they read all the other benefits. So just for long-term planning strategy, just creating a brand and a business that's sustainable.
And Billy, also for you, why is it necessary for it to be marketed to the mainstream with your company?
It's not so much necessary, that was the mission. So to create the most change for every person that's using our products, they're not using brands that support animal cruelty. So for us, it's been it's been about, or for me personally, about creating change. So just high consumers of animal products, switching them over to plant-based. So there's more purpose-driven as opposed to, necessarily just capturing a certain market.
And a question you always get asked, what plant foods are best for bulking up and putting on vegan muscle?
Okay, so putting on muscle is about strength. So the stronger you get, the bigger you get. If you can support that growth through plant foods, such as your high protein. So protein's packaged in plant foods, so you get other things with it. So you get fibre, you get fats, in the cases of seeds and nuts. If you have beans, you're getting carbohydrates, you're getting fibre. So the foods that you need to bulk are just the healthiest foods that you can have anyway. It's just the way you eat them and the quantities that you eat them. Obviously, prana supplements sort of support that as well. So if you're training heavy or just exercising, they can help. But yeah, it's just the style in which you eat. So I just last week I was getting someone who's an 80-10-10 person criticising me about my approach, but they're not doing the same things that I do. So the nutrition that I follow suits me and suits the people that I know that do the sort of things I do. So it's appropriate. But eating fruit all day is not going to help me, retain muscle.
And you're doing a prana code for the event. Did you want to share that?
Yeah, so you guys, if you want to try prana, we're available in most retail outlets now. And you can buy it online as well. So there's a code, lowercase, one word, Cruelty Free Super, and you can get the discount across the range as well. Yeah, that was a question.
So you were saying that you won the bodybuilding competition when you were vegetarian, but do you think that if you could do that like as a vegan, do you think it's...
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. My body's really responsive now, so if I chose to sort of bulk up and put on muscle, I can do that pretty easy, just from looking at a barbell. It's true, I'm predisposed to it. Like, I just think, I've got that body shape, that mesomorph body shape, that can do that. Just now that I do so many other things, I don't really want to go back. But never say never, so I've been asked to compete again next year, and I might do that.
Yeah.
So bodybuilding now, particularly natural bodybuilding, it's about getting as lean as possible, so plant foods definitely help you do that. And because I was powerlifting as well, so you're building skeletal muscle, so you're building not just your biceps, but you're building muscles that attach themselves, your bones together, so your ligaments, tendons. I don't really train that heavy anymore, but I still have a lot of muscle comparable to the average person because I spent years and years building a different type of muscle, so it's much more dense, and you retain it, you do it naturally, you keep it. If you take steroids, you lose it. Mm-hmm. So I think that absolutely, like to get in shape. And I had to, when I was performing as well, just a couple of years ago, I had a couple of contracts that I had to have my shirt off and I had to, be in really good shape. And there's photos on the internet and stuff like that. I was in, really like comparable shape to when I won the Mr. Universe. But a couple of weeks prior to a bodybuilding competition, things get a lot harder. So I didn't have to go through that phase. I was probably pretty good. But it's those few weeks, say 4 weeks or so, that make the difference, that you really kind of dial it in and become a retard socially. So I didn't do that to myself.
It would be harder than beginning like from scratch as a vegan, wouldn't it? Because you can put on that bulk with eggs.
Not necessarily. I mean, eggs are terrible for you. They're inflammatory, cholesterol.
Yeah.
So there's an abundance of plant foods now. Yeah. 10 years ago there wasn't. No one knew what quinoa was. Yeah. Now it's everywhere. Now there's so many different variants on the sort of foods you need if you want to build muscle. So it's readily available now. So that there is really no excuse. And they're the healthiest foods as well. So I think you could do it. And if that's a challenge you've ever asked me to do it, maybe I'll take that. So I can read between the lines. So
It's just to go home and answer all the questions to my boyfriend.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like that was in 2009 on Miss Universe, but since then I've worked as a performer, and there's plenty of photos of that. I've set world records in strength. There's been no slowdown of what I've done. Everything's just been compounding from there, and it's been following vegan diet. So, and prior to that, the same thing that I heard about, could you do it if you're if you're vegan. I heard all that when I was vegetarian. It still wasn't good enough to be veggie either. I had to eat meat to do it, you know. So I keep hearing those excuses, and it tells me more about where they're at than where I'm at.
Just Google Billy Simmons images online. You had a
Breatharian. Sorry, Billy, admittedly not vegan yet. I'm really interested in becoming vegan, but I'm avidly a bodybuilder for the last 7 years naturally.
You look like it.
But yeah, like everything you've been saying just resonates with me. I just want to know how the best way to jump into it. Is it to jump in the deep end and go cold turkey tomorrow, or is it because the whole bodybuilder diet, I do eat 6-7 meals a day, and it's I don't want to be eating the same amount of diet that I am already, but I don't know how to just go straight into it, or if it's a easy progression, or
yeah. So most of what you're eating is based on a habit. So and particularly if you're eating that many times a day. So you need to find foods that you can prepare and you can eat that are similar, so your habits don't have to change. Because going cold turkey is really hard. To change anything overnight is really difficult. But if you can find foods that just replace the sort of macros that you're getting out of the foods you eat, and just cook them the same way or prepare them in the same way that you're doing now, it's going to be a lot easier. Just start with a day, just start with, I'll give it a go for a day, then turn that day into 3 days, and then go from 3 to 7, and then...
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to, what I had in mind was start with foods that I'm already used to eating, that are already, I guess, vegan, obviously, and then progress to the ones outside my comfort range. But I've never really tried quinoa too much, and tofu was probably the first night tonight.
Yeah.
I guess, start with the stuff I already eat now, like oats and all that kind of stuff, and then just look
your favourite plant foods are going to be the ones that you're going to be really happy to eat. Yeah. If you're eating 6 times a day, man, you want to be happy with what you're eating. If you're over it, you won't do it. So find the foods you like, and just find ways that you can prepare them that you like, that are convenient, so you don't have these roadblocks doing it. Like for me, I love leafy greens. Like, it's really weird, but when I eat leafy greens, I feel strong. That goes against what everyone, saying you've got to eat steak. But for me, I made the connection. I'm like, I feel really good eating this food.
You're full with leafy green?
But I mean, I might have some chickpeas through it, some sauerkraut through it, and some hemp seeds or something like that. So then you've got a meal. But it's simply those foods. Like, if you're eating meat and dairy things, you'll have a feeling of fullness, right? But that's actually, once you understand that the energetics of food, after you eat plant foods, you don't have that same feeling of fullness. But that's actually because your body's metabolizing it, you're using it, and digestion taxes your body of energy. So if you eat a big meal, you're going to want to crash. So if you're eating food that inspires energy, that's how we achieve things in life, is having energy. And so you'll still, if you get the right amount of protein, all those, the technical side there, eat food for energy. Yeah.
Thank you all. For Leigh, a rhetorical question. Would you consider tax an unethical investment?
Tax.
Tax. I mean, like, you're talking about where we put our money and we give it all to the government. I wish we could do something about that. I'm just kidding. I buy 5 Edgar's Mission calendars every Christmas. I recommend everyone to buy them for yourself. Give them away to friends. They're fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
And last one for Billy. Just really liked what you said about Gold's Gym and the future is vegan. It's like, hop on board like Eddie had. It's coming. Do you want to join us, or you can't stop it? And I think that's a really good quote.
It'll be the new normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions, Leigh, while you've got the mic. We were talking about the ethics involved in creating sustainable vegan businesses and stuff, and what vegan businesses are connected with cruelty-free super that people in the room might know.
The ones that use us. Edgar's Mission, as a businesswoman, you have a business. So the staff at Edgar's, Vegan Perfection, Animals Australia, Cruelty Free Shop, the top of my head. They're the main organisations, shall we say.
And how can people help their business make that decision or join up?
Well, we prefer to make it a personal choice issue. So if you have a business, there will have to be a default super fund. And the easiest thing to do is to have that as one of the mainstream ones. And there are others available, but the ones that was on my slide. For someone who shows no interest in choosing their own super, then let them go into a mainstream, but let them know there is an ethical option. And that's the key. It's getting people to say, if you make no choice, you'll end up here. But there is an ethical option that you can take. And offering that to staff and giving them the opportunity to say, yes, I'm going to find out and I will sign up, and as a supportive employer saying, then make that choice, join that fund, and we'll make the contributions there for you as part of that journey of a sort of a more rounded vegan lifestyle.
And Leigh, you mentioned before about ethical banks. Are there any good ethical banks in Australia?
I forgot to say, didn't I? Bank Australia, used to be Bank MECU. So Bank Australia are the ones that are talking to Animals Australia about developing a cruelty-free policy. Now, the chances of them going from zero to vegan overnight is pretty small, but a bank in Australia going from zero to cruelty-free, or more cruelty-free than they are already. If you understand the way the banking system and financial system works, just doing that is earth-shattering, because there will have to be a Me Too. If you think of the number of vegans, the number of people that are going vegan every week, and you converted 25% of Australia's vegans to moving their bank account, you'll find now ANZ will suddenly have a cruelty-free option. And the idea that the big banks are starting to say, we're going to stop lending to factory farmers, we're going to stop lending to live exporters. It's a bit about your idea that we have to encourage people to make that change and stop the abuse.
There's just 3 questions I know of, and we'll just go through those and then see how we go with time. Your one at the front.
And you've been so quiet the last few minutes, so I know that Pam's got Kyle and her team, and Billy mentioned you've got a business partner, and Leigh mentioned he's got Chantelle for the last few years. So you were talking about your branding specific so you can grow fast. So what does your team look like around you? Do you have business partners, or do you just have employees? How have you been able to do it so quickly?
Yeah, look, I'm sole director. But what I did was there was the initial strategy. When the Vespa that I got outside, that was the first delivery vehicle of the company. I got 22 customers where I'd make the product, deliver it, and invoice and all the rest of it. But now we have marketing, we have HR, we have international sales manager. So there is a team. But initially, when I first started, obviously cash flow wasn't there yet. So what I did, I brought on a national distributor, and I incentivised his staff, their staff, and I paid out some hefty commissions. But that was a strategy to go national pretty much within 2 months of launching the brand. And now we've got our own internal team, and we've changed that model a little bit. Yeah.
Thanks.
One is it's just a statement. When Leigh was talking about people who have businesses about using cruelty-free super, as an employee of a company that I went to, they didn't give me the option of cruelty-free super. They virtually just assumed I would go into their super. But I stood firm and I said, no, I'm going to have my super go into cruelty-free super. They did try and argue and say it was too hard, and I just kept insisting that my money's going into cruelty-free super, and they decided to do whatever paperwork they needed to do to put my contribution into cruelty-free super. So you have to be firm and don't let them say, no, we don't use that super fund. just say, no, I want to use this cruelty-free super fund, and just keep saying, no, I'm going to that super fund, and you'll get it.
Good.
Yeah, well, she's
Thank you. And you had the question?
My question's for Billy. So I'm getting in like it's like 9 or 8 days. I'm starting my prep for my second bodybuilding competition, and it's my first one on one's completely plant-based prep this time. The last time being very much meat-dominated prep. How did you find your energy levels work while you were getting ready for your competition in comparison to, the meat eating your competition?
Okay, I never ate meat when I competed as a
I mean,
bodybuilder.
like the people around you, how did you see them?
Yeah, I had heaps of energy, so comparable to them. So that's been a thing for a long time. So eating a good balance of both raw and cooked foods, I've got lots of energy and even getting into shape. I mean, if you're in a calorie deficit, so if you're eating a little bit less than what you need to for your body, and you're purging, body fat, and you're getting into shape, there is a bit of pain that goes with that. The way that I'd overcome it was just do sort of a 3 low, 1 high day. So I'd eat low for 3 days, and then eat a lot on the 4th day, and keep my hormonal balance in check. Sorry guys, it's a bit technical, but for what it's worth, that really helped me. So I was able to kick my body out of, get my leptin levels back up. Your body's got all these different hormones. So if you're trying to change your physical state, it's quite difficult. Your body's governed by hormones, and typically we inherit this genetic makeup, and our body really is that for a lot of our lives. But we can change that, and we just have to push through a few of those pain barriers. So I still had a lot of energy, but that's how I did it. I'd go 3 low, 1 high. And I could do 3 days on low food without going too crazy, and then I could get a bit of reprieve, and I'd get my calories back up, get my muscle glycogen back up, and I was okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, because the whole thing is like people keep saying this, like, I'm just worried I'm going to get more tired and I'm going to really stick with it. And everyone around me just keeps going, I'll just eat more protein, you'll be fine. Like, you just need to eat some more protein.
You only need as much protein as you've got muscle mass.
Yeah.
Your body still prefers carbs for energy. Your brain, your muscle function, you still need carbohydrates. You get them from fibrous sources, and so fruits and fibrous vegetables, and then maybe every 3rd, 4th day eat some starches, just so your body can snap out of it a little bit. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, how did you at the back? Sorry.
I've got a question about I hear a lot about how cocoa is just like really badly sourced. How is it sourced for chocolate?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's really important. All our ingredients meet certain criteria. Fair trade without negotiation, it comes with that. And then there's all these other certifications, all these other bits and pieces that we look for. We have great brokers that source our farms out and work with them. And we get all of our ingredients from South America, purely from the quantity. We don't have anyone that can produce what we need in Australia or even up in Asia at the moment. So the next trip for me is we're going out to the farms and visiting the farms as well, just to sort of secure what we're buying as well.
And your question was
that was actually for you. I just thought that you really gave a talk, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about what you do.
I do a lot of different things. So I run my website vivalavegan.net for over 10 years, and it started originally to promote my recipe calendars that came out beginning for 2006. And I started that just after I finished my naturopathy course, and people just asked for recipes to be on there, so I added recipes. People asked for me to do interviews with people, so I did interviews with people. People asked for new things all the time, and I just kept adding them, and it was an evolution. People asked me to do talks at events, so I came and gave talks, and it was just it just kept on sort of snowballing. And because there was nothing like that 10 years ago, there really wasn't. There was the animal liberation, the vegan and vegetarian societies, but there was no one that was focusing on veganism as a lifestyle rather than just food or ethics sort of thing. So I liked to combine all of those things. And it's just sort of, we relaunched the website the beginning of the year, and it's just keeps going, see where it takes me, I guess. And on a personal level, I do speaking, consulting and training for vegan stuff and for online security and online etiquette. It's one of my favourites. So yeah, a lot of different things. Thank you.
Thank you, you did a great job tonight.
Thank you.
This is a question for anyone who wants to answer, hopefully everyone. I'm asking from a business perspective, how have you gone about finding mentors? Or have they found you? Is there a bit of a journey with mentors? So thinking back to the start of your journey, when everything was just conceived, how do you sort of access people that really...
I think that's a great last question to end on. And mentors, I've got a lot of, I guess, my mentors were sort of my friends when I first made the commitment to creating my vegan tribe. So like I mentioned, Jess from Cruelty Free Shop and some other people like that, and just people in particular women, older women who've been doing similar things to what I'm doing. They're the people that not necessarily mentor, but we're friends, and because we are interested in business ideas and we think in similar ways, that we get on well, and we like to brainstorm more than anything, to be honest. So the people that I'm drawn to are people that are really passionate about things. It doesn't have to be about vegan stuff, but the majority of people I'm drawn to are vegans, and as long as they're passionate about something, like to think outside of the square and actually doers, not talkers, then they're someone that I would be drawn to, whether or not they'd be a mentor or a friend.
Yeah, so I had a career in finance, so I had a couple of years where I was working as a stuntman, but prior to that, I registered my first company the day I was turned 18. I was always really had that air about me that I wanted to get out there and have a go at a few things, and I had a couple of goes at achieving success in business, and a couple of failures as well. I wasn't aligned with myself, so the best mentor for me is trusting my gut and having a go and just putting myself out there and not being afraid to fail in front of people. And you attract people in your life, and everyone's got their own unique journey, and your life will go full circle, and the things that you did as a teenager will come back. Everything you've ever done, you're going to find that you'll draw on those experiences and they'll matter. And the people that you attract into your life, everybody's a mentor, for better or worse, that's in your life, that's come through it. So you can take away from everybody in your life, not just necessarily having one person that's got all the answers.
There's been no roadmap for Edgar's mission. There's been no one mentor, I could say. It's really rolled out as I've gone along. So the animals have been incredible mentors for me. My mistakes have been incredible mentors for me, and you touched on that, Billy. That great learning curve. People will tell you that the fire's hot until you put your hand in. You don't realise how hot it is, and then you realise it's not a good idea to put your hand in the hot fire. And as I mentioned earlier, my desire to always do better, to want to be better. I wanted to be better for the animals. Edgar's mission is my living apology to animals for what I'd done to them before I woke up.
I find mentors being a very critical part of my journey. At every different stage, I put it out to the universe, and I seem to find somebody else. When I was launching Panna Chocolate, I didn't have a lot of sales experience, just had passion, generally what I did. And I found I was connected, again, funny enough, it was the same shaman that told me to go vegan. She had a friend who worked in mainstream and had taken a couple of companies national to international. So she came on board, and I was using it twice a week. Evolved from that to somebody now who's completely the opposite spectrum. Opposite spectrum to what that person was. But even in my junior days, always work with mentors and get a lot of them. And I agree with these guys as well. You never stop learning. People always teach you, and you always find inspiration and ideas and knowledge through, not closing yourself and always talking with people. I get a lot out of that too. So, thank you.
Well, at risk is this sounding too negative. I think my best mentors from my earliest age I can remember are all the people that told me I couldn't do something. Because I'm bloody minded. It's like everybody's saying, why, there's no way an Englishman is ever going to come to Australia and change and launch a superannuation fund that's so totally social media based, and for those few loony vegans in the country, it's just not going to work. So I could have just turned around and gone back to the UK. So thank you to all of them, including the careers master at school.
So thank you everyone for coming tonight. I'd like to thank everyone on the panel for giving their time. Remember, if you appreciate this, put a monetary amount on the way out, and that helps at his mission. I'd like to give a really big thank you to Mark at the front here. He's provided all the equipment we've used here tonight and given us some valuable help, so we really appreciate that. Loving Hut provided the food and addiction food, and Sue's also been a great help. Sue, Lee, Billy and myself were doing this tour, so we're the V team and for this tour, so make sure you tell your friends about Sydney tomorrow. Have a look at everyone's website, have a look at crueltyfreesuper.com.au, make sure you join the mailing list on the way out. And we were meant to have brochures, but they also have been lost. So your Sydney friends will have those as well. And but you can find them online and find us across all the social media channels. Thank you very much for coming, and drive safely.
I'm really humbled. Thank you, Sue, leigh-chantelle, Billy, Hannah, and Lee. Thank you for putting us on. Thank you for having me here. And thank you everybody who's put money in that tin, because your belief in my work, I cannot tell you, I really cannot tell you how much that means to me, and it really goes to change the world around us. So thank you so much.